lock along with a secondary lock like a wheel or throttle lock. Anyone with information of suspicious activity can call 211 at the earliest opportunity, providing police with as much information as possible. The health department is running a series of clinics this month to offer flu shots to residents. The Flu Express Clinic will operate from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Sands Secondary Middle School on Tuesday, October 25th, at Cedar Bridge Academy on Saturday, October 29th, and at Pennos Wharf on Wednesday, November 2nd. Government said those with priorities such as healthcare workers, caregivers, and essential service workers, as well as children and those age 65 and older, should attend the clinic. Others at risk include anyone with chronic medical conditions that are at risk of complications from the flu, for example, diabetics, asthmatics, and those with heart disease. The government says you will not be given the shot if you have allergies to eggs, chicken products, or any component of the vaccine, you've had a reaction to the flu shot before, or you have a fever or are unwell, or if you've had a seizure within a year, or if you currently have COVID-19 or are being quarantined due to the virus. The flu shot costs $15 per person for adults and children 12 years and older. Those over 65 will receive the seasonal flu vaccine free of charge. And ahead of tonight's leadership vote, we took to the streets of Hamilton to gauge the public's opinion on who they feel would be best to lead the country.
Yeah, I think Curtis Dickinson is best to lead the country. It seems like it's more positive.
So honestly, I don't know too much about politics to even get into that type of stuff, but whoever leads the country, I just hope that, they have the Bermudians at the best interest.
I think it was David Burt for me anyway. Just that I know a bit more about him than Curtis Dickinson.
I'll go with Curtis, but I know I went to school with you. That's why
Premier David Burt. He's done it already and he can continue doing it.
Definitely Curtis Dickinson. I feel like David Burt's already showed his hand.
In overseas news, British Prime Minister Liz Truss has resigned after 6 weeks in office in what many are describing as a disastrous term that pitched Britain into deep economic and political turmoil. It all began when her first Chancellor, Kwasi Kwarteng, spooked the financial markets with his mini-budget on September 23rd, resulting in the dramatic fall of the UK pound. Since then, there's been growing anger within the Conservative Party. Truss will remain as PM until the next leadership election next week. In her resignation speech, Truss noted that she came into office at a time of great economic and international instability. She pointed to Putin's illegal war in Ukraine as threatening the security of our whole continent. She said her party had set out a vision for a low-tax, high-growth economy that would take advantage of the freedoms of Brexit. However, in the speech, Truss noted she could not deliver on the mandate of the Conservative Party. Last night in the House of Commons, Truss was fighting to save her job after a vote on fracking and the resignation of her Home Secretary, Suella Braverman. Calls for her to go kept growing in the hours afterwards. Her decision marks a fresh struggle within the ruling Conservative Party, which has now overthrown Boris Johnson and Truss in the space of a few months. Her term lasted just 45 days. I'm Jasmine Patterson with Bermuda Broadcasting News. Enjoy your evening.
And the weather brought to you by BF&M.
Be prepared this hurricane season with BF&M. Did you know that following renovations, you should review your home insurance policy to ensure you have adequate coverage, as the cost to rebuild your home may have increased. You can count on BF&M 24/7 during hurricane season and all year round. Check your policy for details.
This weather update is provided by the Bermuda Weather Service, sponsored by BF&M.
And thank you, Jasmine, for tonight. It's going to be cloudy and wet with a slight chance of thunder. Winds out of the south to southeast, light to moderate. Tonight's low 72 degrees. Friday, cloudy with occasional rain and showers again. More thunder, winds out of the south. It'll be moderate winds for Friday. Friday's high looks like 79 degrees, low 72. Well, for the weekend on Saturday, going to be cloudy to start with, and some showers as well. Going to brighten up later on for Saturday afternoon. High 80, low 73. Looks pretty good for Sunday. Sun and clouds, winds out of the east. Will be moderate winds, high 80, low 71. Next week, Monday, sunny breaks with more shower activity in the local area. Winds this time from the north to northwest, light to moderate. Backing west to northwest for Monday. Monday's high 78, low 69 degrees. And relative humidity still high, 87%.
This weather update was provided by the Bermuda Weather Service, sponsored by BF&M.
Thanks to the folks at PFNM and the Bermuda Weather Service.
94.9 Bermuda. Our 95.
It's now time for a motion to adjourn with MP Chris Famous and Dwayne Robinson, JP.
And welcome to Motion to Adjourn. Thank you so much, Dawn. You took that JP for a spin.
Yeah,
you heard me yesterday?
Yeah, I said that.
I appreciate it. Yes. Well, thank you all for sticking with us. We have the BPSU president, Mr. Thomas, that will be joining us today to speak about the union and its 70th anniversary. So do we have our guest on the line? Mr. Thomas, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. How's it going?
I'm good. Thank you for giving us a bit of your time. I know you're very busy. As I said earlier, that the BPSU is having their 70th anniversary. So you want to tell the people a little bit about that?
Yeah, before I actually get into that, let me just introduce I got two colleagues of mine with me. The General Secretary, Brother Kevin Grant, and also I have the Labor Relations Organizer, Sister Linda Meisner. But on that night, Sister Linda's going to be Linda Harvey. You know that guy, Steve Harvey?
Yes.
So she be Linda Bogle Meisner, but she be acting like Steve Harvey that night.
The MC.
So, yeah, the MC. So we were actually born in 1952, and we've survived to 2002, and we're looking to survive another 70 years. And we have to put things in place in order for us to do that. So we're celebrating 70 years. We started celebrations, I would say, possibly from May, and we've done something each month. Last week, we actually had Burling. My team was in it for the win, but the Secretary of Staff came through and stole that right underneath us, but it's okay.
Next year.
Yeah, it's always another time.
Well, that's good. Go ahead, sorry.
So yeah, we're actually having a banquet this year at Rosewood Tuckers on October the 29th. And interesting, we have a speaker, and that speaker is going to be talking about mental health in the workplace. And our theme is the relationship between mental health and productivity in the workplace. So people must be wondering, okay, we're celebrating 70 years, and what mental health has to do with it. I can tell you, for BPSU to get here in 70 years, it took a lot of stress. So we want to make sure that the same way how we was at the forefront for sexual and bullying in the workplace, we want to also be at the forefront for mental health awareness. I think it's a taboo subject in Bermuda, if you ask me. But I could say about a month ago, Sister Linda and another team, we was in Trinidad. And we went to a union conference. It's called Public Services International. And they have various speakers from time to time about global warming, all sorts of different things. They also had a speaker this year to talk about mental health. I just couldn't understand at that particular time why we had somebody here talking about mental health to labor unions. And I'll be quite honest, I was taken back. The way how the guest speaker brought this across, I said, we need this guy in Bermuda. Banquet or no banquet, we need him to actually collaborate with some of our partners so we can move forward. Because there's that stigma attached in regards to the mental well-being. And I can tell you that it's important that employers understand how to foster a mental health friendly work culture. And I think that when we hear this gentleman, it's going to blow a lot of people off the street. And we also have a meet and greet on the Friday before the banquet. And then we're also going to do a lunch and learn that day as well. And then for some of the people that are in the industry, we're going to meet with them on Monday. So we got a packed full weekend. But the main thing for us coming on today was to promote the banquet, and also I think if anybody having any issues or understanding of mental health, I think it's important that they have to understand what's actually taking place in people's health. Trust me, as simple as this. If you live in the west end of Bermuda, like I do, if you don't leave home by a certain time, the stress starts because that traffic at the stoplight is serious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got it. And then you're thinking time you get to work. If you got somebody at work that you're having some challenges with, and the minute you see them, you're stressed out. Your boss is on your back, your partner's on your back at home. So we're functional mental health addicts, and we're trugging along. So I just wanted to bring to the forefront the brother that's coming in and how he actually brings this across. I was blown away.
Okay.
Yeah. How you doing, brother? Brother Dwayne.
Cousin Linda, nice to hear from you.
Cuzzy, I like that. I'm getting closer.
Hey.
Yeah, I think it's really important to acknowledge that during this pandemic, we've turned our attention to recovery of the country in so many facets, but we haven't done a lot of work or dialogue around the mental capacity. And as anybody would tell you that, and I'm sure you would say so yourself, it was tough coming through this pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not done yet, right? And then we just expected workers to just pick up and just get back to work as normal. And it just was not possible. And as a union, the more that we listen to our members and their concern, we realized that we had to start to be their voice in the workplace when it came to the challenges around mental health and how that directly related to their productivity. And so we're pretty excited to have Brother Kenneth Benjamin come and speak at our banquet, but also speak to our members of that weekend period. And I think that we certainly would encourage anyone to tune in to our Lunch and Learn, which is going to be broadcast via our social medias, to tune in and listen to his perspective on how we can truly understand the impact of mental health in the workplace and how it not only relates to productivity, but also how it fosters out into the community as well as our family environment.
And that's amazing because I do know, I know all of us know a person or somebody that has lost a loved one throughout COVID, or, some of the essential workers, grocery workers, hospital, police, all this lot were working throughout it. And I think, it's really important to address that mental health component. So I really commend you at the BPSU for bringing that to the forefront, because it is absolutely like what you're saying. People had to just keep pushing, and it was tough. I knew a lot of people were having anxiety attacks because of the amount of folks in the grocery store at one point, and they felt like they was going to catch it. And this is in the beginning, where it was unknown. It wasn't too much information and everybody's kind of like panicking. So I think, what you guys are doing is gonna really go well. But I just wanted to just ask you two other questions to for the listening audience. And the first one would be, where can folks find more information? Because, I know a lot of folks like to do their own research. So where can they find more information on your banquet and on the BPSU? And also, would you be able to let the listening audience, for folks who don't know, who the BPSU represents?
So the BPSU represents 4 segments. We represent government workers, private workers, communication workers, and also hospitals. So that's the 4 segments of categories that we represent. They can go on our website. They can call Bermuda Public Services Union on 292-6985, and we can provide them with a ticket or 2. I don't actually know how the operations of your. I don't know if you have callers calling in, but if you did, we could have offered at least 2 tickets to the show here this evening.
Oh, yeah, well, my cousin Famous didn't tell me that. Because we would have put that right at the top of the show, I think. Well, Dawn, let them know the number to call in.
2929595. I guess the first caller and second caller gets the ticket.
Bang.
Yeah.
Let's see, because I mean it is drive time radio, so if you are driving, please hands free, or pull over or something.
Good afternoon, caller.
Oh my dear.
Good afternoon. Am I the first caller?
You are indeed.
Yay.
Congratulations. I'll let the host tell you more information. Go ahead, host.
So
yeah, we just need a name, cousin.
Avita O'Connor.
Avina?
Avita O'Connor.
Okay.
Yes.
How you doing, sister?
I did hear about. I'm good, thanks, Sister Linda. I did hear about the banquet. I thought it was a very good thing to do because people are struggling with mental health within the workplace, and I thought it was a great idea. So I was excited to go. However, how my funds are set up, I couldn't afford a ticket, but I feel excited being that I'm the first caller. So
make sure you get your nails and all that done, see?
Okay.
Thank you so much, Cole. I appreciate it. Do you have any questions while you're on, or?
Well, I was just going to continue listening to the station and just find out more information. So I don't really have any questions at this time, but I'm going to stay tuned. So, yeah.
Well, we appreciate you calling in. You have a good one and be safe, okay?
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye.
See, well, look at that. One time, right off the bat. So,
these tickets are going to be hot, These tickets are going to be hot.
Hey, but that's what we like to see. And it shows you how many folks are invested in mental health.
Yeah.
If you would you be able to give us kind of a little kind of play-by-play on what in mental health the BPSU is really looking to kind of change in the workplace? Is there any sort of policies you'd like to see, or any sort of legislation or anything job related that could possibly assist with folks who are having mental health issues within the workplace?
That's a great question. And you know why? We're at the beginning of this, and we want to basically work with the government and to collaborate some sort of policies. And also these policies will help. They will help in the private sector as well. I know Minister Haywood was encouraged a couple of years ago in respect to mental health in the workplace. And I just wanted to carry this on. I actually met a couple people at the union from the private sector, and I said, you know what, if the private sector are having this type of stress, our own members are going through the same thing. And I think that we just need to come out and encourage other parties to, it's okay to actually come and open up. And we wanted that space. We wanted the union to be a sacred place where they can come and just open up. I know we do have programs like EAP and those types of things there, but we just want to go a little deeper. The EAP will actually have the professional help, the expert from that aspect. And also we like to put it in our collective bargaining agreements, if person, because right now they take a personal day or things like that. We negotiate sick days and those types of things there. Why can't we also have mental health days? You know what I mean? Or mental stress days. The word may change once we play around with it later on. I know you and Linda talked about the pandemic. In some areas, we have persons working at home, Brother Domain, right? Mm-hmm. But you think at home be nice. But guess what? My neighbor's doing construction, right? and the banging of the noise and those types of things there. So we can go deep in respect to working at home. I know in the private sector that working at home, they give them allowance on a monthly basis. For some of our members, they didn't get nothing. I mean, but it's a double-edged sword. You know, you may get more productivity out of persons that work at home versus somebody working on a job. Person at home may not be taking 15-minute breaks. They may be just going right on through and pushing out so much things. And then on the other hand, you may get the slacker. So we have to work on a balance. You know what I mean? When we talk about all of these things here.
No,
But
agreed.
we're in it to win it.
No, that's good. And just shifting gears a tiny bit, right? Because I think 70 years is quite an achievement. Do you find that 70 years in that the BPSU is still vibrant and strong as a union, or do you feel as though we need a little more assistance in that?
Well, Brother Dwayne, it's Kevin Grant speaking, the General Secretary. That's a pretty good question. The prognosis is that unions have been waning with membership across the world, But as these times have gone on and we've experienced these challenges like what you all were just talking about when it comes to the pandemic, if it was not for the BPSU or the BIU or any of the other sister unions fighting for those fundamental rights for workers during those times, it would have been far worse than we've seen. During those times, there were a lot of memorandums of understandings that were put forward in order to adjust to the way that we were going to be operating during the pandemic. And just from that particular experience whereby unions were able to go in and make sure there were no infractions on the collective bargaining agreements, but we agreed to memorandums of understandings to make sure that we came to an amenable solution so that both the employer and employees could survive through the pandemic. So we've actually engaged from those particular times our labor relations organizer here, Sister Linda Bogle-Meinzer, to actually deal with making sure that we organize persons within the workforce. That's part of her real mandate, to make sure that she sells the union as a viable representative for workers. That's what we do, and that's what we will continue to do.
Well, thank you for that, Mr. Grant.
Yeah, the other thing, Brother Dwayne, is that every year from 1952 to now, things have changed. The way how we operated in 1952 is no way we can operate in 22 now. Technology moves, and if we don't stay abreast, we're going to get lost behind. And we have to do this for our members. So we get a lot of work done throughout this organization, and we have some skilled people. So we're always flying out to better ourselves, to improve our collective agreements on behalf of our membership.
We have to adjust. That's just the way we do things. Just like you said, Brother President, the jobs back then are not the same jobs now. The workers back then are not the same type of workers that we deal with now. And also the family structures are not the same family structures that we deal with now. So there are lots of challenges that we find when we actually are going in the workplace to make sure that we provide representation for our members. But we've done it for the past 70 years, and we will continue to do it for the next 70 years or so.
Brother Lorraine, I first became the president in 2005 to 2011. I stepped down, and I came back with a 10-year break. And I can tell you, it was a massive change. So just think 1952 to now.
Huge change.
Huge change.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that.
But the premise of unions has not changed. And it will never change, because there will never be a time, whether some in the community or the private sector may disagree with us, but there will never be a time where employers gift employees anything. Every single right that employees have been fought for. Fought for. You go back and speak to your grandma's grandma, and she will tell you she used to have a baby on Tuesday and back to work on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
There was no such thing as maternity leave. There are still places of employment where people don't get paid if they don't work. If they get sick, they don't get paid. So these benefits that we enjoy came from the hard work of those that have been in the trenches for 70 years. But the biggest work is to maintain those benefits. Because I could tell you, every time we go back to the collective bargaining agreement, they're trying to chip away at those benefits. And so when you talk about the relevance of unions, well, you have to go and ask the people who work outside of the protection of unions whether or not they feel okay at the possibility that you can leave work on a Friday, come to work on a Monday morning and told that you're unemployed.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw a lot of that during the pandemic. In fact, I never really like to talk about the good things that came out of the pandemic because you can never talk about the good things when so many people lost their lives, right? But the reality is the pandemic showed even more the importance of unions when persons were just being displaced from employment without rationale. That doesn't happen in the union environment. And that's why unions will always be relevant.
Well, thank you so much. We actually have a news break right now, but once we're finished, we will come right back to you.
Sure.
You're locked to Power 95, Bermuda's big station at 94.9 FM, a Bermuda Broadcasting Company station.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jasmine Patterson with a look at the top headlines.
Take control of your Butterfield credit card by downloading the Butterfield Card Alerts app. Monitor your spending activity with real-time transaction alerts sent directly to your mobile device. And if your card is lost or stolen, use the app to turn the card off, preventing any further transactions from being processed. Download the app from the Apple Store or Google Play Store today. Customized credit card controls. This is banking by Butterfield. The Bank of N.T. Butterfield & Son Limited is licensed to conduct banking business by the Bermuda Monetary Authority.
Government signs non-binding agreement with Fairmount Southampton developers with a view to closing off on the transaction late November. PLP leadership challenger takes to media after being barred from formally addressing delegates before tonight's vote. And police call on residents to be vigilant amid a rise of thefts of valuable goods from parked vehicles. I'm Jasmine Patterson with Bermuda Broadcasting News. Enjoy your evening.
Now back to Motion to Adjourn with MP Chris Famous and Dwayne Robinson.
And we're back to Motion to Adjourn. The guests, are you still with us, BPSU?
Yeah, we still here.
Good stuff. I just wanted to ask something because, I know Cousin Linda knows this, but I consider myself somewhat of a young man, right? And when I think about mental health, a lot of times it is a kind of millennial Gen Z important topic, right? And I find that conversation tends to generate more from that generation, my generation, anyone behind me, like more so than it does generate in the older generation. Do you think that this is a good opportunity for the BPSU to kind of reach out to a younger membership? And do you believe that, you guys have, equipped yourselves to appeal to that younger demographic?
Yeah, I mean, if I can, I certainly think so that we are making an effort to try to adopt. I know that last year we had a lunch and learn presentation given by the Employee Assistance Program. I think the lady was named is Lista. She works there, and she was able to highlight a number of things to the members on that lunch and learn as to what my president might have mentioned earlier about the taboos about mental health. It's a subject that we don't like to discuss at all. And I remember Ms. Lister pointing out the fact that because of our culture and our pride, sometimes we don't like to highlight those things. I mean, this is a very small population in Bermuda. So quite often when we deal with particular issues, they are highlighted and they're emphasized. When we consider the amount of issues concerning mental health in our island, it can be at a very high rate. And then, we've seen whereby recently a former member of this union opened her own business to deal with mental health. And she's actually seen the vision whereby this particular issue is a very important subject that we cannot turn a blind eye to. It's just something that we will have to make sure that we prepare ourselves for. And I think we're ready to take on that challenge.
That's a good question, Brother Dwayne. Executive meeting this week, we're just talking about our young workers. And young workers to us is from the age of 18 to the age of 35. And in the system, we have 591 young workers at that age. And we're just looking to see what else could we do in far as beefing up our future leaders program. Because, again, that word young worker is a stigma attached to that as well. So that's why we've changed over. If you go down the Caribbean anywhere, they call them youth workers or young workers. I know as you get older, in the past 50, we all want to go be young. We're getting over age, right?
Yes.
So we call them future leaders. So we have about 591, and we're going to be addressing that group to possibly be more active in our future leaders program.
And that's good. And the reason I ask is because, that's the generation that we're losing, unfortunately. Like that age bracket is, so I feel like the unions are going to be very crucial to holding that age bracket in Bermuda and allowing them to feel like they have a space where they can, speak and affect change in their respective workplaces. So that's why I think it's really important to hear that. And if there are some young people listening or anybody who wants to know any more information, please call in. But I just find that to be very important. And I know during the pandemic, it kind of forced a lot of organizations to adapt and innovate because, you had to do Zoom and all of these different things. And I know a lot of sort of older school generational places like to meet in person a lot. And I noticed that the younger folks would rather Zoom, would rather call in, would rather, Teams or whatever. So have you experienced any sort of change in interaction post-pandemic? Because I'm sure you guys also had to kind of adapt in any way you handled your meetings and other things.
Sister Linda had made mention earlier some things that she didn't want to communicate about, but some things were good for us throughout the pandemic, which we saw things differently. And one of those things were Zoom. We wouldn't have been able to operate without it.
Yeah.
And I'll be quite honest with you, in some of our meetings, we see more attendance. Attendance is up high versus these, face-to-face meetings. So that's something that we may have to look at too. But we, look at something like maybe 2 to 3 in-person meetings based on, what group function we're talking about here. But honestly, when we was face-to-face, we're waiting around forever for a quorum.
Yes.
So those types of things there was, we gotta fly down to Trinidad for a meeting, and all of a sudden, no, we can do this meeting on Zoom.
On Zoom, yeah. Now, Mr. President, if I may, before you go, Linda, I just want to go back to the youth and making sure we have that contact with future leaders. I think what unions uniquely have is that we've got sister unions also that are on the ground that face a lot of mental issues on a daily basis. And I speak of the Prison Officers Association. I speak of the BUT, the Bermuda Union of Teachers, who are actually on the ground facing a lot of mental issues. Just recently, I've spoken to the presidents of both of those unions who explained to me some really serious stories about mental issues that they are experiencing in the prisons and in our schools. So we have persons who are actually on the ground right with the young people.
I mean, you can say all the unions.
Yeah, that's right.
Police Association, fire going through their thing.
Yeah.
You know, the Belco Utility Union going through their thing.
Yeah.
BIU's going through their stuff.
We are on the ground dealing with that, dealing on the ground with those particular issues concerning mental health almost every day. As a TUC.
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's funny that you should talk about technology. I mean, I'm not as young as I used to be, their cousin, but I remember a good 10 years ago, a certain couple of brothers would walk around here with these briefcases with binders and stuff like that. I said to these brothers, listen, leave those papers right where they are and let's go do Miami coming back from a conference and pick up some iPads, right?
We did. She made me get my first iPad.
Yeah,
we did.
I've been trying to drag them into this technology for a minute, right? And the pandemic came along. When they was telling me, no, Linda, we can't do this. Pandemic came along and said, yeah, you should have been listening to Linda all this time, right? Because, and what it means is that we've had to change our mindset around how we communicate with people. But it also has been a fantastic opportunity for us to offer education to our senior members through Lunch and Learns about technology and just understanding not only just basically how we use it, but also how we can communicate better with our membership through technology. And so it's been a fantastic opportunity for us. But honestly, it also means that we have to look at technology policies in the workplace and ensure that our members are being treated fairly with those policies. Because honestly, you know, if you joined the civil service 20 years ago, you didn't have to have something about, are you computer literate? You just came into the civil service, and now it's a requirement. And so policies are changing every day, and some of them require technology. And so we have to keep up with these changes to ensure that our members are also given the opportunity to get the training that they need. But you remember when you used to go away and have to try to put a chip in your phone? Nobody does that now. You just WhatsApp your family and say, I'm safe.
That's right.
You know? Or you're hanging outside the Starbucks, you know,
Yep.
get that Wi-Fi.
Get that free Wi-Fi, yes.
Get that free Wi-Fi. And so it's a whole new world that has opened up to us. And as a union, you know, we certainly want to be on the forefront.
Remember, you was in college, right? You'd be at that payphone, making a collect call.
You best believe it.
See, I don't remember that, see?
Hey, easy now, bro.
You think your mama said, you just called last week. I can't take this one.
Yes, but it shows you, you know, like you guys were saying, that it's an ever adapting organization. I think that a lot of people listening are going to be happy to hear that you guys are in that mental space of, you know, innovating, adapting, because I know from the outside looking in, sometimes people don't always get to see the work being done internally, right?
Sure.
So I'm gathering that I'm talking to some, I used to wear a seasoned unionist, right? And I just wanted to ask, how do you all feel about the state of labor relations right now, you know, with the private sector and with government? Like, with your stakeholders that you deal with, do you feel that, you know, the labor relations are in the same place or improved, or do you think, you know, it's changed?
Who wants to go first? I think it's a lot of to and fro. I mean, and I'm talking about both in the private sector and then the quasi sector. That's the Quengos who represent part government and part private, and then in the government sector, public sector as well. I think that those challenges are happening both to and fro. There'll be times when we're dealing with our grievances or collective bargaining agreements that the private sector would seem to be a little bit more amenable than the public sector. And then it reverses, whereby the public sector at some times seems to be a little bit amenable than the private sector. I can tell you that this organization has been putting forward a number of progressive proposals in our collective bargaining agreements, because we need and we know that the structure of our communities, like I said earlier, the structure of the workplace and the individual worker is changing every day. So, when it comes to as to whether or not the labor relations are getting better, I think it's up to us to make them better, because I think that we've always had the challenge of having the stigmatism that unions are always adversarial. Unions don't want to collaborate. Unions don't want to come to the table for resolution. I think that this organization, over its tenure, has proven differently. We're always willing to come to the table. We want to make sure that we bargain in good faith. We want to make sure that we provide an effective and efficient representation for our members.
Brother Dwayne, that's a good question. I would say that for the most part, we're actually doing a pretty good job. Here recently, in our private sectors, at the negotiating table, we've come out with some good percentages. We're still in negotiations with the government, and we're just talking about salaries right now, and I'm waiting on that. And I think if we can get what we put forward, our members would be very, very happy. And again, it's going to be ups and downs, but I must say, and going back to the old school, once upon a time, I will be blasting government and whoever, but I realize as you get older, you get a little bit wiser, because the fact that we do a lot of our business deals across the table. It doesn't have to be in the media. You know what I mean? So our relationships have improved in that aspect, and hopefully it will continue to improve.
And I think they had to improve, right? I mean, when we talk about recovery, one thing that this pandemic has taught us, that the most important resource that any organization can have is people. The number one resource. It wasn't computers that saved us during the pandemic. It wasn't computers that saved lives. It wasn't computers that did the testing. It was the humans.
Mm-hmm.
It was the workers. And so the value of human capital was highlighted during this pandemic. And so we believe that fact should remain the focus of all employers, their human capital, their human resources. And we also believe that we do not want to leave this pandemic the same way that we went into it. That this is a fantastic opportunity for us all. And if we really want to talk about recovery, economic recovery, then we also have to look at how the human capital, the human resources was impacted. And really, the brothers can tell you, when I go into those rooms, I'm talking about how do you celebrate and compensate that human resource for coming out on the other side with you in a much better place. And so those are the difficult conversations that we have to have, but it's conversations that we must have. Because when we say that we're all in this together, then we expect you to put your money and your actions where your mouth is.
Well, I appreciate those answers. Thank you. And the ethos of this show is education. Famous and I both came together to kind of bring forward some things that folks may not hear. So, as an educational question, would you be willing? Anyone could take the question, but would you be willing to give a bit of insight into how negotiations go without giving up anything confidential? Like how that process tends to go for the listening audience.
Well, tell you what, as the president, I have both. I have a co-chair of education and a former education chair here. So I can let the GS go, or Sister Linda, or myself.
So I guess as far as negotiations, is always a quick overview of Huawei, because one of the things that this organization is, it is a bottoms-up organization. I mean that by saying, Brother Robinson, that the supreme body of the Bermuda Public Services Union is in the membership. So I say that to say that when we start negotiations, we begin by canvassing the members of that particular bargaining unit. What do you want? What do you want to see better in your collective agreement? What do you want to see improved? Are there other things that we need to look at as far as technology to make sure that your terms and conditions of employment are going to be better? So that's the first part of it. And then after that, we go ahead and make our presentation to the employer. It's a lot of to and fro with that, but because we have such a lot of mature collective agreements, I would say, it usually comes down to the nuts and bolts, which is the money. Most of the bargaining units like to make sure that we go in there to make sure that they have the same purchasing power that they would have had the previous year. So I'm just trying to provide you with a nutshell of it. I know my other colleagues will speak to some other issues regarding negotiations, but I just tried to give a little overview of how we go about it.
Hey, Brother Dwayne, your cousin Linda, right? Let me just say, she'll get to the negotiating table, and she wants to put forward pup paternity, maternity. If you don't understand what I'm saying, talking about for her pets and things like that. So
yes.
Yeah, people want to take time off with their pets. So we're moving aggressively, and those are the type of things that we would like to put forward in the future. With the pandemic, we know here are a lot of things of the risk of some of these jobs that our persons are looking for, high risk compensation, So we're always in it to win it, though. And we have to correspond amongst ourselves and then put it forward,
Definitely. I appreciate that.
You got the other thing, too, right? Has my cousin Famous ever tricked you before?
Trick me?
Yeah.
Oh my dear. Well, here's an East End boy, so that little tricky, the blue and all that.
Yeah. I know you come from up over the bridge there, a couple of bridges.
Yeah, a couple of bridges, yeah.
Yeah. But look, he told us 20 minutes, and trust me, we could talk for another 2 hours if you like. But he said 20 minutes. So he tricked us.
Yeah. He did.
That's okay. We can go on.
Using his negotiation skills, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. Listen.
Yeah. Surely a negotiating and
To bear faith, yeah.
But I think most people understand negotiations because we do it in life, right? We identify something that we want, and we go in a store, and it might have one price, and then we try to look at the product and say, hey, listen, this has a dent in it, or this has, there are always ways. And I know you understand this real well, and I know some of your callers going to understand this too. When you're married, it seems like it's one big negotiation.
That's right.
He's a little tired. He's a little tired for everything.
One big negotiation. But
I do.
But I think the most important thing is that we try to get to this point where everybody understands that these collective bargaining agreements are joint. It's not just the union's collective bargaining agreement, but it's also management's collective bargaining agreement. And this is something that we both sign on to, and we made a commitment to enforce. And so what I say to workers is that as you're going throughout your work life, if you see where improvements can be made, and those improvements should be made through the collective bargaining agreement, then jot it down, send it on to your shop steward, even send it on to the union. We may not be in negotiations at that time, but it's certainly something we can put on file to possibly explore when negotiations comes up. The bottom line is negotiations are about improving work conditions in the workplace so that when you think about how much time we actually spend at work, sometimes I think we spend more time in the workplace than we do away from the workplace or with our families. So we want those conditions in which we work to be fair, equitable, and safe.
And I appreciate that. And I honestly, when we get one guest, usually it's for the hour, right? So I'm here operating as so you guys are here for the hour. So thank you.
No, we're not mad with you. We're just saying just be careful on your negotiations.
If you want to come forth,
our cousins, but if you need
representation.
Yeah, just give us a show. You know?
I appreciate you. We're gonna go to one final break and then we'll wrap up when we come back. Okay?
Sure.
Take control of your Butterfield credit card by downloading the Butterfield Card Alerts app. Monitor your spending activity with real-time transaction alerts sent directly to your mobile device. And if your card is lost or stolen, use the app to turn the card off, preventing any further transactions from being processed. Download the app from the Apple Store or Google Play Store today. Customized credit card controls. This is banking by Butterfield. The Bank of N.T. Butterfield & Son Limited is licensed to conduct banking business by the Bermuda Monetary Authority.
Welcome to Checking In with Bermudiana Beach, a series designed to tell you everything you need to know about the new Bermudiana Beach Resort. You might be wondering how this project will benefit Bermuda. Let's talk about it. First off, jobs. Up to 100 construction workers will be working on site for the year prior to opening. Then once open, between 70 and 90 full-time employees will work at the resort, plus additional temporary workers during peak times. Bermudiana Beach will add 110 rooms and up to 248 beds to Bermuda's hotel inventory at a time when hotel inventory here is at its lowest in decades. Speaking on added inventory, the project will also help to increase airlift, which has fallen thanks to lower hotel beds. Bermudiana Beach also presents an opportunity for both Bermudians and non-Bermudians to own real estate at a new, refreshing venue. The resort will help revitalize Bermuda's tourism, our second largest industry, and help to reinstate the South Shore Warwick as a vital tourist area, which will increase business opportunities there. As you can see, the benefits are huge.
Spectrum Organics is a food company in step with the organics worldview and produce culinary oils of very high quality determined by the wholesomeness and purity of the ingredients and innovative chemical-free extraction and processing. Spectrum has been refining their skills for over 30 years and now are the #1 natural and organic culinary oil brand. This trend arises from health considerations, but the importance of flavor will never be sidelined. We're featuring Spectrum Organics refined and unrefined extra virgin coconut oil. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
Now back to Motion to Adjourn with MP Chris Famous and Dwayne Robinson.
And welcome back to Motion to Adjourn. Thank you guys again for giving me some of your time. I know you all are extremely busy. And, I'll just turn your mic over to you. And if there's anything else you want to impart to the listening audience, anything you'd want them to know about the BPSU, the celebration of that you guys are having, the banquet, I'll turn the mic to you.
Yes, thanks, Brother Dwayne. I just wanted to just remind the listening audience that it's on October the 29th. Cocktails starts at 6, and the dinner actually starts at 7 p.m. We also are going to be honoring 2 persons at the banquet, as I believe that persons should receive their honor in hand as they should, and not when they've actually been passed. So we want persons to be recognized as they receive their actual awards. Our last banquet, we honored Brother Ed Ball, the immediate past General Secretary, and we're going to be making some honorings of 2 more persons at this banquet. I wouldn't say who. It will be a very big surprise to themselves, and I know they're probably listening. And so I keep my mouth shut on that. The other thing I wanted to make mention is, if to the listening audience, we're having a family fun day at the BPSU's yard. So bring your kids or somebody's kid, core kid, bring them all, grandkid, and that actually starts at 1 p.m. to 6. 1 p.m. to 6. So family fun day on Saturday, this coming Saturday. I believe it's the 22nd. Yeah. And then don't forget about the panel discussion as well. We have a panel discussion of women in the past, present, and that will be in November. And that's going to be hosted by Carla Zul Saunders. So that's pretty much for us. I just wanted to say thank you. And before we go, do we have any more callers to pick up that final ticket?
Well, so far, I don't. Don, you had anybody calling?
They can call now 292-9595 and win yourself a ticket. Call now.
And yes, again, I'll repeat, it's Drive Time Radio. So if you are driving, come on, pull over, or be safe at the call. But yes.
Hello, caller. You on the line?
Yes, is the ticket still available?
It is for you.
Thank you.
Especially. What's your name?
Selena Simon.
Selena Simon.
Oh, whoa.
You know her?
Oh,
we do. Hello, everybody.
Hi there. Somerset. I know you're calling to take all famous, but.
And I already have my ticket. I'm going to gift it to someone.
Oh, right on. Nice. So we'll put your name down, Selena.
Okay, when can I pick it up?
Tomorrow.
All right. Tell Sister Linda I'm coming to get it from her.
I heard that.
See you guys tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Cola. Appreciate you.
Bye.
See, that's the big heart of Somerset people right there. See, you see how we go?
Together, right?
Come on. She said, I have my ticket, but I'm going to gift it. See? I wish Famous was here for that.
What you say, St. George's people would have capped it, even if they had, even if they couldn't, they would have capped it, huh?
See, I try not to impugn. I try not to impugn them, I try to give them the benefit of the doubt,
So George's folks would have kept it in the bag.
Well, listen, thank you so much for a very enjoyable interview. Hopefully we can have you guys on further down the line so we can hear how your efforts have gone in this space. And if you have any last things to say, you can. If not, I appreciate you for coming, and hopefully we hear from you again in the future.
Yeah, Brother Dwayne and also Brother Dunn, on behalf of Bermuda Public Services Union and its membership, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you guys for listening to us and having us on the show this evening so we can actually market this a bit more. And also thank you to those winners this evening. Just come in and pick up your tickets. And hopefully that we can see them and their kids at our Family Fun Day.
Thank you. Mr. Grant, have a good one. Mr. Thomas, be safe. And
Thank you,
Cousin
sir.
Linda, keep updating it. Keep getting that tack going. And have a good one, okay?
All right.
All right.
Bye. Take care. And you have listened to Motion to Adjourn, and we are adjourned until next Thursday.
That, of course, is MP Chris Famous and Dwayne Robinson, JP.
You're locked to Power 95, Bermuda's big station, at 94.9 FM, a Bermuda Broadcasting Company station.
Yo, drop it. Taking it from the streets. All over the streets. Back to the blaze and hip hop and R&B. Here's another nice joint on Power 95, blazing hip hop, R&B, and reggae.
Or the gloss of the lips, hickeys on the chest or the toss of the hips. I'm lost in the mix, so I floss in the sea. Turning up belly till I'm exhausted.
It's the Mo paper, dough chaser. Now get it right with ya, heartbreaker. I keep it tight, but I'm no faker. You can laugh now, but you cry later.
I think I like you in your freak clothes, freak those in my specialized peep shows, and then I make you touch your knees to your elbows, toes curl from East Street to Melrose.
It's cool to see I like it when we smoke that.